Hello, the world. My name is Mateo Reynes.
I'm Dylan Freeman.
I'm Nick Kennealy.
And today we will take you around the sports world. I can talk. There's a lot of big news that has happened recently, specifically in the MLB world. The big contract, which happened last night, was Garrett Cole to the Yankees. 9 years, $324 million. Dylan, if you got $324 million, what's the first thing you'd buy?
I'd open up a pizza shop.
Oh, great idea. What about you, Nick?
I'd get a better podcast.
Okay, great job. Next was Steven Strasburg. He stayed with the Nationals for 7 years, $245 million. Giants made some moves. So I know there's some Giants fans out there who'd like to listen to this. They signed Kevin Gausman, 1 year, $9 million. Zach Cozart, they traded for him, along with Will Wilson, who was a first-round pick last year. I don't know how they got that done, but it was a remarkable deal. Didi Gregorius signed with the Phillies, 1 year, $14 million. And the Zach Wheeler signed with the Phillies for $118 million in 5 years. The worst news out of the MLB that I heard is Madison Bumgarner is connected with the Dodgers. This would be very scarring for me. I'd probably be very sad if this actually happened. In football, one thing that didn't have to do in any games is Jordan Love is committed to the NFL draft, Utah quarterback. In college football, the final rankings were released after the last slate of games. I went to the Oregon game. Big dub there. The final slate is LSU, number 1, Ohio State, number 2, Clemson, number 3, and Oklahoma snuck into number 4 after beating Baylor and Georgia losing to LSU. Georgia was 5 and Oregon was 6. Some of the big bowl games are Oregon versus Wisconsin, which is the Rose Bowl, Bama versus Michigan, Citrus Bowl, Georgia versus Baylor, Sugar Bowl, Auburn versus Minnesota, Outback Bowl, and Boise State versus Washington, the Las Vegas Bowl, which will be interesting because Chris Peterson's final game is against his old team. In the NBA, Vince Carter became the 5th player to play in 1,500 games. Kevin Love is linked to the Trailblazers in trades, and David Fizdale has been fired as the Knicks head coach. Lastly, in college basketball, Texas Tech beat number 1 Louisville, and this is the 4th number 1 seed to lose in college basketball this season. There are only 5 unbeaten D1 teams left in college basketball. Next, we are going to get into the NFL Week 14, I believe, and let's start it off with Dylan, Cowboys versus Bears. Get into it now.
I'll start off by saying this. I cannot cut any praise away from Mitchell Trubisky. I don't know if this is a Mitch-hating podcast, but me, I'm not the biggest fan of him. As if you've listened, you know that. But he played amazing this game. He was phenomenal.
Amazing.
He was completely on the mark passing, and he had one interception that wasn't even really his fault. But the clear difference in this game was his use of his legs, which we've seen flashes of in his first years in the league, but he hasn't really utilized. His ability to extend plays as well as take running lanes finally allowed him to utilize Matt Nagy's playbook.
Yeah, last year you saw him run for around 400 yards, and at the beginning of the season you really didn't see it. But they certainly implemented it into their game plan going against these Cowboys, which was a crucial win to keep them in the hunt. Mitchell Trubisky ran for 1 touchdown through 3, and he played very well in this game. They came back after some early Cowboys scores, and they scored 24 straight points to take and command the game. And it wasn't until 2 garbage time scores that the Cowboys looked on paper like they were in this game.
Yeah, verbal meme, Mateo. Mitch Trubisky versus every team. Mitch Trubisky running the ball. Mitch Trubisky Thursday against the Cowboys. Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, but most of Dak's yards in this game, as Mateo said, came in garbage time. And he was really underwhelming in this game. He got outplayed by Mitch Trubisky, which is kind of embarrassing. Going back to Mitch, how I've been low on him, maybe I need to restructure the way I think. Maybe he's not completely done. There's some hope brought in after this game, but I'm not sure about his future with the Bears or in the NFL.
Yeah, it seemed like Dak Prescott wasn't throwing wasn't trying to produce anything. He wasn't trying to get chunk plays. He was playing very safe, and it could have had to do with the play calling, but he did not look good in this game. Ezekiel Elliott was pretty much the offense for them. He ran for 2 touchdowns, 81 yards, but one interesting note is Dallas has cut their kicker, Brett Maher. He missed a field goal in this game, and he had the league-leading 10 missed field goals. So they have signed someone else, which would be better going forward. But it's so ridiculous that these Cowboys are still in the playoffs. If it shows how bad the division is, literally. They are. What are they? They're 6-7, under 500 in leading their division. 3 teams would be in first in the 49ers division. So it just shows how ridiculous that division is this season. And it has been for the last couple of years. There's always that one team that commands, like the Eagles a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But this season, no one is really pulling forward, and it's really embarrassing in the NFL.
Yeah, and we'll get to it later, but the Cowboys are going to make the playoffs. They're going to be first in this division because the Eagles are not looking great this season, and that's not going to continue. It's going to be a tough game for both the Cowboys and the Eagles when they face off, but any team coming out of this division in the playoffs is a joke.
Yeah, that Cowboys-Eagles game is going to decide division, but the Cowboys started off good this season. They're 4-0, and then they've lost 7 of their last 10. This is a horrible stretch. They're going to fire their head coach, mark my words, even if they win a playoff game after coming in at like 7-9. Like, that's so horrible. Jason Garrett's done. Jerry Jones thinks he's the best talent evaluator in the NFL, even though he should have someone being the GM instead of senile Jerry Jones. So that was certainly interesting in my opinion. The next game was Colts vs. Bucks and Jameis Winston. Oh my God, this was such a Jameis Winston game. A couple weeks ago, I said Jameis Winston game was the other game, but he threw for 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. It's so odd. He did get hurt. He's expected to come back next week. He got a little time for Ryan Allen in the Buccaneers offense, but that was weird. And they pulled off the victory against the Colts. This Colts team has been very embarrassing. They've lost 5 of their last 6. And it's just shocking how far they have fallen since Andrew Luck left this team. Jacoby Brissett showed flashes, but it isn't enough right now.
Yeah, they started really well. I don't know what the problem has been in the past few weeks, but in the shootout in Florida, the Bucs came on top. It was a pretty exciting game. Like Mateo said, what a Jameis Winston game. If you were to define Jameis Winston by any certain game of how quarterback he is, this is the type of quarterback he is. I mean, it's good enough, right? I guess they're winning, but the risk with that is absurd. The ball was spread around very well. 4 different wide receivers had a touchdown. But on the other side of the ball, Brissett was quite average, and he lacked the explosive plays in the second half to match with the deep throwing ability of Jameis Winston. And Marlon Mack returned this game, but besides a goal line touchdown, he really didn't do much of anything.
Yeah, this offseason quarterback moving around is going to be very interesting because the Buccaneers coaching staff won't commit to Jameis Winston long term. They said we'll get to it when we get to it. So that's not like, oh yeah, we're going to make the Cowboys say that they want to keep Dak Prescott. They're not going to let him leave. But it certainly shows something in his statistics that he's leading the NFL in turnovers. It's very embarrassing, but the Colts had Chase McLaughlin, did you hear that?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Chase McLaughlin, who made his field goals, which was good for them. He was, of course, the 49ers kicker that lost them the Seahawks game, but it seemed like Adam Vinatieri's time is done in Indianapolis, but these Colts were up 2 touchdowns early in the third quarter, and then it was all Buccaneers, the second half of the third and the fourth, which it's kind of crazy how an offense can just stop playing. But Jameis Winston did have maybe a fracture in his thumb, but he is expected to be back next week. The next game was Ravens versus Bills. And the one thing that I took away from this game, at the beginning I saw was that after the 49ers comment about Lamar Jackson and him running the ball was attributed to certain jerseys, he had the major troll where he wore white gloves, white arm sleeves, along with the white jersey. So that was kind of funny. But it was Lamar Jackson. They led the game. The Bills were resilient. They came back after being down 24-9. But Lamar Jackson controlled this game, and always it's with his legs or his arm, but this time it was more his arm. He threw for 3 touchdowns. He did have that nasty juke that you might have seen on Instagram. That was crazy, but he just controls the tempo. He's so good. He's so resilient, and he's really leading this Ravens offense spectacularly.
Yeah, Lamar displayed that although he's not going to have a big game rushing in every game, he can show off his prowess in the passing game, and he did that today. On the other side of the ball, Josh Allen was unable to get much done passing or rushing. This Ravens defense that has really stepped up the second half of the season. The first half of the season, they didn't seem to be as good as they were last season, but After the addition of Marcus Peters, this Ravens defense has really seemed to step up, and they played very well playing for Lamar Jackson. Everyone's playing hard on both sides of the ball. They're really rallying around Lamar Jackson, and it's nice to see.
Yeah, one thing from the Bills game is the Bills defense did play pretty well. They held the Ravens to their season low 257 yards. They forced 7 punts, and the Ravens had only had 24 punts all season. Lamar Jackson, he's had an unbelievable season. I think he pulls ahead in MVP, and I think he's pretty much has the MVP in his pocket after the last week for the Seahawks, but it has 1,017 yards rushing. He only needs 23 more yards to break Michael Vick's single season rushing yards, and then he still has like 3 more games. That shows the pace that he's on. And even when he doesn't have the running game that everyone says, oh, he's just a running back, he's just a wide receiver, he still can throw the ball, and he showed it this way. Josh Allen was sacked 6 times in this one. As you said, the Ravens defense did very well. But yeah, it wasn't a great offensive game. They got back into it at the end after being down much bigger to make the score look a little bit better padded. But I still think this Bills team's a good team. They played pretty much the best team in the NFL this week. And the Bills have showed that even against the good teams, they could stay close throughout the matchup.
In the next games, the Detroit Lions traveling to Minnesota to face the Vikings. I'll start off David Blau, more like David Blows. He was hot garbage in this game. The Vikings defense played very tight coverage throughout and pressured Blau all day. Blau was sacked 5 times with 3 coming from Danielle Hunter, who was electric.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. The Lions' only touchdown came with 2 minutes left in the game. Kenny Galladay, I think, leads the NFL in touchdowns, and that really helped me in fantasy as I won by 3 points, so that touchdown was pretty crucial, which was helpful. But this game was pretty much dominated by the Vikings. The Vikings didn't even play that great of offense, but they just took control, and the defense for the Vikings completely controlled Blau. Blau, after his first good week, he doesn't look like he's the next hot quarterback that's going to be mentioned in trade rumors after Matthew Stafford's back, but it wasn't the greatest of games. It was a blowout through and through. The Lions ended up covering the spread at 13, so that was kind of funny, but yeah, it wasn't that exciting of a game, and I wasn't really paying attention to it.
Yeah, this O-line for the Vikings is certainly much better than they were last year. It seemed like last year Kirk Cousins couldn't play a snap without getting pressured, but he was only sacked once in this game. Cousins wasn't electric. It wasn't an amazing, high-flying game, but he was very efficient. He only missed on 6 passes, 242 yards, and 1 touchdown. Cook, who was somewhat compromised coming in this game, had a slow day, 3.4 yards per carry, but 1 touchdown.
Yeah, this is the first game that the Lions haven't had a lead throughout the whole match, so it showed that their offense really didn't produce at all until the fourth quarter. Like, Blow didn't finish any drives. Like, when you don't score any points through 3 quarters, that shows how much of a disappointment that is to your fan base, to your coach, to your teammates, that you can't, like, it's the defense especially. Even they were holding the Vikings offense, which has looked very good in this season, in check, and it just very disappointing that they couldn't get anything done offensively. The next game was Redskins versus Packers, and this is another one that wasn't the greatest of games. It looked close. It was like 15-20, I believe, but it was mainly dominated by Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones had a really poor performance last week, but he came back and dominated. On 16 rushes, he ran for 134 yards, averaging 8 yards per carry and a touchdown. With Aaron Rodgers pretty much playing stagnant, he did throw a touchdown. It was really big for the Green Bay Packers to have Aaron Jones step up in this one.
Yeah, on the Redskins side of the ball, Haskins really couldn't get the wheels moving on this Redskins offense. They're really going backwards for most of the game. 1 touchdown for Haskins, but also 1 interception. Darius Geis being injured in the first half really changed the complexion of this game, although Adrian Peterson rushed for 1 touchdown. As Mateo touched on, Rodgers didn't light up Lambeau as he usually does, but Aaron Jones really took over this game. He had 135 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Also, their leading wide receiver with 58 more yards.
Yeah, Geis was doing really good. In 5 rushes, he was averaging 8 yards per carry, and then he had that knee injury. He had been so good, and they finally developed into the running back that they drafted, and now he is out for the season yet again. Brings up another big injury concern. And Adrian Peterson, he did have a pretty good game. It became the sixth player to reach 14,000 yards rushing, but this game was pretty much dominated by Aaron Jones. Not much offense for the Redskins. Aaron Rodgers didn't even have a great game, but Aaron Jones really came in clutch.
In the surprise game of the afternoon, the Denver Broncos, led by rookie Drew Lock, went into Houston and dominated the Texans throughout. Lock completed nearly all of his passes for 309 yards and 3 touchdowns. He really impressed me throughout his first and second starts. He seemed like a very raw prospect to me coming out of college, but he's played very well in his first 2 starts.
Yeah, coming into the game, like when they walk into the stadium, the Texans defense was dressed up as the people from Dodgeball, and they carried it onto the field, certainly dodging the balls thrown by Drew Lock in this game as he was able to sling it completely. But that Texans defense did not play good. This one kind of surprised me. I had the Broncos in a something, but I picked them to win. But I thought it was going to be close. I thought the Texans were going to win, but the Broncos were going to lose by a certain amount. But Broncos played so well. Drew Lock played amazing. They had a pick 6 from Kareem Jackson coming back against his old team, the Texans. And Kareem Jackson also had a fumble return, 70 yards for a touchdown. He didn't have a pick 6. He had an interception. My bad if I said pick 6. But it was 31-3 at halftime. Literally, the only touchdowns were garbage time, but Drew Lock played amazing. I believe in him completely. I think he is definitely the future. And the quarterback that the Broncos have been searching for ever since Peyton Manning left. I saw this other thing that it was like a Broncos fan in the stands dressed up as Santa Claus, and he was holding a sign that said, "All I want for Christmas is a quarterback." But they certainly have one here in Denver.
Yeah, as I said, coming out of college, he was seen as more of a gunslinger, but it's clear he's worked very hard since entering this league. As some of you may know, I'm all for being realistic and calculated on evaluating young quarterbacks, but Broncos fans and NFL fans alike really have something to be excited about with rookie Drew Lock.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson really wasn't able to get anything done on the offense, especially in the first half. What really surprised me, coming off of a big victory against the Patriots, I was so surprised that the Texans just seemed stagnant. It seems like they were just happy with their last win and didn't feel like they had the need to play in this one. The next game was 49ers versus Saints.
Put the game in Jimmy Garoppolo's hands. I don't care. This game for the Niners and for the Niners organization and Niners fans was his coming out prove it game. Jimmy Garoppolo played amazing in this game. Before every game, any announcer says, you got to stop the run. You got to stop the run. You have to put the game in Jimmy Garoppolo's hands. That's your best option for this Niners team. Go ahead. Go ahead, do that. And Jimmy G is going to do exactly what he did to this great Saints defense last Sunday.
Here's what I'm going to say. I'm so glad we have this podcast. If you listen back the whole time, I am the only person here that has believed in Jimmy Garoppolo the whole time. Everyone else is like, oh, Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't know if he's the guy. Jimmy Garoppolo is the guy. Everyone said, all the analysts said, okay, we want to see Jimmy Garoppolo actually have a shootout before we can actually say the 49ers are a legit playoff team, and he did it right here against the Saints. He outdueled Drew Brees, Hall of Famer Drew Brees. And this is a real turn of events for 49ers quarterbacks, and it looks like Jimmy Garoppolo is the guy.
I don't appreciate you questioning my loyalty to this team or my quarterback. All I've ever said is he needs to prove it, and he did it here. I'm on. I think this is going to continue throughout the season and going into the playoffs, focusing on other aspects of the game, other players, because, of course, it was not just Jimmy Garoppolo. It was a team victory. Raheem Mostert continues to impress. He had an amazing game, and who also was fantastic was Emmanuel Sanders. He had, I believe, 152 yards receiving, 1 touchdown, and 35 yards passing and another touchdown passing. It was an amazing game for everyone on this offense.
It showed the mastermind of Kyle Shanahan. I said coming into this game that it was going to really show the duel of the two coaches who are masterful offensive play calls, and it certainly showed. Kyle Shanahan really changed the tides after being down by 2 touchdowns with that big Emmanuel Sanders throwing touchdown. But Emmanuel Sanders did have the pass deflected. He played amazing. I'm not taking anything away, but the interception wasn't Jimmy Garoppolo's fault. The one negative coming out of this game, injuries. The 49ers have had to deal with injuries the whole season. Now their starting center, Weston Richburg, is out for the season, and Richard Sherman and Dee Ford are out a couple weeks. That is a real concern, but I'm confident in them guys. It's always next man up. It has been like that all season long, and I'm very confident in this 49ers team. George Kittle is a beast. Literally, on the last drive, I was saying they caught that ball on 4th down. I'm like, go out of bounds, go out of bounds. He drags 3 guys with one of them yanking on his helmet 30 yards to set him up in a perfect field goal situation. Robbie Gould has been shaky with field goals all year. I was thinking on that game-winning field goal, I'm like, we're indoors. It's an easy field goal. We're somehow going to figure out a way to mess this up. We didn't. We pulled off the victory. And the Saints played very well in this game, especially Drew Brees and Michael Thomas. They had a great connection. Taysom Hill wasn't able to pull off the special things that he was able to. Jared Cook at the beginning of the game was a real asset. He caught 2 touchdowns on 2 catches for 64 yards and then was out the rest of the game. That really hurt the Saints offense. But Alvin Kamara also had a crucial fumble that really helped us, and he really didn't put up any stats in this one.
Yeah, the last thing I'd like to say, which I'm going back on something Mateo said that I really just liked. He said, next man up. We've played great all season. We've dealt with injuries. I think that shows the positive and next man up culture that we have here at the Niners. We've had injuries on both the offensive line, defensive line, and especially in the secondary. But players like Emmanuel Mosley and rookies Justin Skoll have stepped up, and they've really played well. I love the culture we have. We're just fired up. It starts with Robert Saleh in this defense, and it looks like it's transferring over to this offense. I'm so excited for this Niners team.
It's credit to our front office, bringing in John Lynch and bringing in Kyle Shanahan, saying, okay, I'm going to give you guys the same amount of 5-year contract, so I'm going to give you time. I don't expect you to win now. I don't expect you to win next season, but eventually we'll win. And it showed after just 2 seasons, we are already in the driver's seat. We're number 1 seed in the NFC, and it shows that with faith, the big higher ups in the organizations need to have faith in their coaches and general manager. I know in certain situations, especially like the Cowboys, for example, you can't have faith in Jason Garrett for 20 years. It's not 20 years. That's an over-exaggeration. But never make it to NFC Championship or Super Bowl. But I'm very proud of this 49ers team. I'm very proud in our future, and I'm very proud of this season. The next game was Bengals versus Browns, and this wasn't a very pretty game to watch at all. Baker Mayfield has regressed so far from last season. Last season, everyone was like, oh, Baker Mayfield, the Browns are going to be a major component in this AFC. They still are technically in the playoff picture, and they won this game, but they're playing the Bengals. But apparently the Patriots find the need to spy on them, and that's besides the point. But Baker Mayfield was able to run for a touchdown, but he wasn't able to throw anything. Threw 2 interceptions against this poor Bengals defense, and it was pretty much all Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt running the ball. Nick Chubb ran for 99 yards in the first half and only ran 7 yards in the second half, so that first half production really helped them out, but it was pretty much defense. It was Denzel Ward, and did he catch 3 interceptions? That's not true. He got a pick 6, I know that. So that was very, very good for them.
Yeah, I want to talk about aspects outside of what happened in this game. It wasn't the most interesting game, but I feel like I know the problem with this Browns team. And it's not just Freddie Kitchens. It's everything. This is a young team. They have all the talent in the world, all the skill positions, but they aren't disciplined. They don't have the coaching that allows them to be disciplined. And they aren't playing out. I don't know if they're playing as a team. I don't think OBJ wants to be on the team. I don't think he believes in Baker. I know Baker doesn't have a connection with OBJ, and the stats show that. They have all the talent in the world, but they need a coach who's going to put them in check, and they need to utilize it because Baker Mayfield played great in his rookie season last year. He set the rookie record for touchdown passes, and he didn't even start the whole season. So we know the talent's still there with Baker. I'm not sold on him at all. He just needs the coach. He just needs the pieces higher up to set him up to have a better season next season.
Yeah, the same amount of chance that Jason Garrett's the head coach for the Cowboys next season is the amount of chance that Odell Beckham Jr. is a wide receiver on this Browns team next season. There's no way he's still there. There's rumors that he goes up to every team after the game and says, "Come get me." Literally, he's not committed to this team long term. It seems like he always has issues. I really like Odell, but he's not gelled with this Browns team. He clearly wants out, but yeah, it's just a really tough situation considering that they traded for him. But I keep trying to say Browns and Broncos because all the B's. But the Bengals offense was pretty much all Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon ran for a touchdown, 146 yards. Andy Dalton finally came back to earth after that big victory against the Jets. But yeah, Andy Dalton is not going to be here next season either. They're probably going to go all in and get the Burrow phenomenon. But yeah, this Broncos team, I think it's better that they lose this game than win this game because they want that number 1 overall pick. Next game was the Falcons versus the Panthers. Yeah.
Woo-hoo!
The
Fun
Falcons. Matthew Ryan. Matty Ice. Why am I so down right now? There we go. Now I'm on top of it. Matthew Ryan threw for 313 yards, 2 touchdowns, and was only sacked 1 time. Hit and undrafted free agent. Let's see if I can get this right. Olamide Zaccheaus.
Wow.
I think I got that.
I'm sorry. Let the cultured person say this name. Olamide Zaccheaus.
I said that. But no, I didn't. All right, Roddy White had his retirement ceremony. I mean, can't talk. Falcons fame ceremony at halftime, and coming out of and before this, Matthew Ryan. Why do you keep saying Matt? All right. Matt Ryan's longest touchdown was a 90-yarder to Roddy White in 2009, and then the first career catch for the man, the myth, the legend, OZ was a 90. Let's see if I can get this right. Do you have it on the top?
93 yards.
93-yard touchdown. It's like he came out of the body of Roddy White, and that did not sound right.
A little weird, bro. I don't know what's happening here.
His soul shifted to him, and he was able to do it. I am completely off the rails, but basically the gist of it is the Falcons dominated this Panthers team. I said coming in, they're going to be so lost without their head coach of 9 years, Ron Rivera, and it showed as the Falcons just dismantled them up at 33-10 at one point. And it's just so weird, this Panthers team, because they started out so good. The Falcons started out so bad, and the Falcons have now swept their series with the Panthers.
Yeah, you're not the only one off the rails because Kyle Allen was garbage. Again, for what seems to be the 3rd or 4th week in a row, 28, I guess he wasn't garbage. 28 for 31, 293 yards passing, 1 touchdown, but 2 interceptions. Never mind. He was garbage, and Christian McCaffrey didn't run the ball well either, but he had some quality catch and runs. It was just a slow day for this Panthers offense. I remember around week 5 or so, after it was ruled that Kyle Allen was going to be the starter and he played a few games, people thought he was going to be the future of this Carolina team and he was going to be primed to replace Cam Newton, but I don't know what the Panthers are going to do at QB. Not just next season, but as this season continues, they have Will Grier out of West Virginia who's sitting on the bench right now. He's a rookie, but they might try and get him in there if Kyle Allen keeps playing this poorly.
Yeah, at the beginning of the season, all the Panthers fans were calling for Cam Newton's job, saying, you're out. But now I'd be begging on my knees for him to stay because it doesn't seem like that's going to happen after Ron Rivera is gone. And Kyle Allen is not the answer. And basically, Matt Ryan had a great game. He's only the 10th quarterback to 50,000 yards. And a big loss for the Falcons team in this one was Calvin Ridley is now out for the season. And he has been a big target for Matt Ryan, accompanying Julio Jones. That should be a big loss, but they're not making the playoffs, so it doesn't really matter. So he's going to get some rest and recovery.
Next up in the always beautiful New York City.
New York.
The Dolphins of Miami came and met the Jets in a thriller of a game where 10 field goals were made between both teams. 7 by the Dolphins, which was their entire force of scoring in this game. It was a horrible game.
Horrible.
It was a horrible game. New York at home escaped with a W with the skin of their teeth.
I am so glad that I was not forced to watch this game as a 49ers game was on. If I was in the New York metropolitan area and this was the only local TV I would get, I would probably jump off a cliff rather than watch this game, which is very shocking because I skipped having a driver's class to watch football one day, and it's going to haunt me for the rest of my life. But that's besides the point. If you're listening, you know. But Jason Sanders is going to be the team MVP for these Dolphins. He threw a touchdown last week, kicked 7 field goals in this one, along with 53. He didn't miss one, but that was the only scoring for the Dolphins. Ryan Fitzpatrick. 65 yards. No, never mind. That's rushing. That's never mind.
Either way, Dolphins, it's bad.
You suck.
Dolphins, it's
Put in Josh Rosen. Get the young quarterback a chance. But no, we're going to keep Ryan Fitzpatrick in this one to throw an interception and suck.
Dolphins, it's bad. When Withering Bones, Ryan Fitzmagic,
Withering Bones,
is your leading rusher of the game on 7 rushes. Jesus.
And Sam Darnold.
Whoa,
2 touchdowns.
Okay.
But against his Dolphins defense.
Whoa. He won. A win's a win.
They narrowly escaped the series sweep against the Dolphins.
Yeah.
They won by 1 point. I'm joking around, but Sam Darnold didn't have a horrible game. He didn't play great. Threw for 2 touchdowns, but really couldn't drive much in the first half especially. But their kicker was 3 of 3. That was helpful.
Wow.
Kicked the game-winning field goal. So this game was horrible. Never watching this matchup again, unless it pops up on my screen in an occasional red zone.
Yeah, if you told me Le'Veon Bell did play this game, I'd believe you because he didn't do anything, and that's what he's done all season. But Le'Veon Bell did not play this game. Bilal Powell played, and I'm convinced that Powell, who filled in, would have done better than Bell. I don't know what it is about Bell. I'm so perplexed. It's the same thing with Saquon at the Giants. For the Giants, I believe it's Pat Shermer just running him up the middle. I don't know what it is that you can't utilize Bell's elusive ability and pass-catching ability, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell. All right, Le'Veon Bell, the next victim of my scrutiny. The Jets.
Oh, man, he's really
the Jets.
Not gonna like this.
Le'Veon Bell. Jesus Christ, man.
Oh, my God!
You say you can't play because you have the flu, but you're out until 1 o'clock in the morning, Saturday night, in the New York metropolitan area. Bowling, I tell you. And apparently he had a really good bowling score. I don't know bowling very well. I'm not a bowling aficionado. Nick just made his first word. So,
all right, welcome to the bowling.
All right, the next game was Chargers versus Jaguars, and Phillip Rivers finally had a good game. On his 38th birthday, he put up 38 offensive points while he was in. Everyone was calling for his job, but T-Mobile, Tyrod Taylor did get in the game.
Oh, yeah.
He showed off his running ability, his tryout for next season, as he's going to be the starter potentially, and as well as throwing a touchdown. So that was good. Minshew. It seems like these Jags quarterbacks never get hot at the right time. Get benched, get started, and Minshew played bad. He threw for a touchdown, didn't have any turnovers, but he really couldn't get anything done on offense. And Leonard Fournette is a phenomenon. He either does unbelievably well, unbelievably horrible, but he did not do well in this one.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers is like schizophrenic.
Did I say Leonard Fournette or Le'Veon Bell?
You said Leonard Fournette, bud.
Okay. Sorry.
Phillip Rivers is like schizophrenic. He had a very good game. It was very efficient.
What? What?
Okay.
As we're back on.
Surprisingly enough, yes, Phillip Rivers got somebody.
Midget Trubisky.
You bet.
Surprise. Anything that starts with an S.
All right, so Phillip Rivers is schizophrenic. We got it, guys.
Surprisingly enough, Phillip Rivers did play very good in this game. He was very efficient. He's had problems with turnovers throughout the season, but he had none today. And although out-carried by Melvin Gordon, Austin Eckler played amazing.
Whoa, baby.
8 carries, 101 yards, and he had another 112 yards and a touchdown through the air. Rivers spread the ball around very well, 3 different wide receivers catching a touchdown. But like Mateo said, Gardner Minshew wasn't garbage. He wasn't bad, but the magic just wasn't there. And Jesus crystals, Fournette, 3.3
Jesus
yards per
Christ.
carry against this Chargers team. That was a horrible run defense. But on this Chargers team, it's clear the difference that Derwin James makes on this defense, not just the secondary, but this defense as a whole. He came back, I believe, last week, and it's clear what this defense has been able to do with their leader.
Yeah, the Jags are not good. This is their 5th straight loss by at least 17 points. First team to put up this remarkable and amazing stat since the 1986 Buccaneers. I do not know anybody on the 1986 Buccaneers as I was not conceived yet.
Ronnie White.
Ronnie White? Was Vinny Testaverde on the team?
Yeah.
Was he?
I don't know.
All right, that concludes that game. Next game, Chiefs versus Patriots. Oh, baby! Chiefs versus Patriots. It was 7-3. Patriots were in control. Patrick Mahomes looked like he couldn't throw the ball very well as he was injured. Then they scored 20 straight points against this Patriots defense, who at one point in the season on fantasy was a can't drop team. That's meaning that you can't drop them as it would be an unfair advantage for other teams. Wow, Patrick Mahomes, as he is injured, people are distracted by Lamar Jackson, all the fancy footwork, and they are not realizing that Patrick Mahomes is very good. The Patriots lost this game. They had a chance, but one thing I will say is that N'Keal Harry, he didn't step out of bounds. You could see green in between the end zone and his foot. That was ridiculous. And the Patriots had no challenges. It shows how poor the referees have been this season. They said that they're going to regroup after the season to recommand this referee position. But yeah, that should have been a touchdown. That would have put him into 23-20 position, which would be very helpful. But Julian Edelman's catch was knocked down by Brashad Breeland in the final Patriots offensive play of the game. But yeah, that was crazy. You go ahead.
It's just clear that this Raiders team This Patriots team led by Tom Brady it's going to be a lot harder for them to come out and win against these young quarterbacks and these young teams. There is nothing. Brady has no help on offense. All he has is Julian Edelman, who's a slot wide receiver who was drafted in the 6th round as a quarterback. Yes, I'm not taking anything away from Julian Edelman at all, but he is not a number one. It's clear what the loss of Gronk has done for this team, and they need a number one wide receiver. They need a strong running game. I don't know exactly what's happening in this running game. James White is more of a receiving threat. Sony Michel, who was drafted in the 1st round by the Patriots, hasn't really lived up to his potential as of yet, but Brady needs help. Yeah, he has a great defense. His defense isn't running the ball for him, and Bill Belichick isn't pass blocking for him. So I don't know what's going to happen down the stretch here.
Yeah, one thing I will say is everyone tries to say that the Patriots are always helped by the referees, but it seemed like the referees were completely against the Patriots in this one. There was another play where Stephon Gilmore had he picked up the fumble and he had a clear path to the end zone, but the ball was blown dead. And that would have been a great turning point, but the Patriots really just couldn't get it done because they don't have any help. One thing is Antonio Brown keeps hinting that he wants the Patriots to pick him up on social media, especially
he is
Instagram.
Schizophrenic.
But nobody wants Antonio Brown on their team, especially a playoff team, especially the Patriots. They don't want him back after things that he said about their owner, Robert Kraft. But this certainly was an interesting one. It's going to be very interesting if the Patriots actually supply weapons for Brady next season, if Brady's even on the team. Oh, now that was some
Brady the Buccaneers.
Now that was some what do they call it? Clickbait or whatever. Clickbait.
Brady not on Patriots.
Clickbait. Brady has decided to come to the Chargers. Next game, I can't talk. Titans versus Raiders. The Raiders were in this game first halftime. It's 21-21. I believe I got that right. That I was at halftime. But then the Titans scored 3 straight touchdowns, and then they won 42-21. Here is I'm going to say this. Ryan Tannehill has played very well. I'll admit it. I did not give him enough credit because I love Marcus Mariota. That Ryan Tannehill was good, but Ryan Tannehill has played spectacular this season. I don't know if it's necessarily the right decision to bring him back next season, but he certainly is playing like it is. But yeah, he's good. Raiders. I thought that as soon as I heard Josh Jacobs was going to be out, I decided that they were going to lose because they really were desperate for him because he really commands their offense. It's not necessarily Derek Carr, but this is a big win for the Titans, who are certainly in the AFC playoff hunt.
Yeah, Ryan Tannehill, GOAT. He's not going to produce all these big plays. He's not going to have any Jameis Winston days, although he did throw for 391 and 3 touchdowns against this poor Raiders defense. Interception. Okay. Sorry. But he's very, very efficient. Despite that interception, he only missed on 6 passes. And as expected, the always great Derrick Henry played amazing. So explosive. Watching him run it's very fun. It's very fun to watch. 103 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, and rookie wide receiver A.J. Brown had his best game of his young career. 153 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns to complement that. The Steelers versus the Cardinals.
In Arizona.
Yes. Duck Hodges, baby. He's the real GOAT. He missed on only 3 passes. Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
wow.
my goodness.
Amazing. But really, it was a Duck Hodges performance. Like Jameis Winston has his token performances. This was a Duck Hodges performance. He's, by any stretch of the measure, not going to light up the stat sheet, but he did have 152 yards passing and 1 touchdown. Also on this Steelers offense, Deontay Johnson, I believe, who is a rookie wide receiver.
Rookie wide receiver, that is indeed correct.
Had a touchdown receiving and a punt return touchdown. He's very explosive. There were comparisons to him and Antonio Brown coming out of college. They thought maybe that could be his potential. I don't think that's the case. Hopefully he doesn't go as nuts as Antonio Brown, but he had a very good game against the Cardinals.
Yeah, Deontay Johnson seemed very... Sorry, I had my pen cap in my mouth. Deontay Johnson seemed very electric in this game, especially in that punt return. He was just pounding it back, and he completely... But the real takeaway, the real key to the game was the Steelers' defense. They had 3 interceptions. 2 were by Joe Hayden. 1 was by T.J. Watt. Joe Hayden has had a really good season.
He's been a touchdown machine.
Yeah, he didn't get a pick. Interception machine, yeah. Kyler Murray has... It's a rough rookie season. This Cardinals team... Hopefully they can get some more acquisitions, but Kenyon Drake wasn't able to run it very much. David Johnson wasn't able to run it all. He did catch a touchdown, which was good. Yeah, that showed that his career isn't completely over.
Whoa, slow down.
Christian Kirk played good at the beginning of the season. He hasn't done very well lately, but he had a pretty good game. But it really was this Steelers defense that won it. When a quarterback misses on only 3 throws and only throws for 152 yards, it shows how much that they believed in their quarterback, but they weren't able to really run it. I think that I said James Conner was supposed to be back, and that's why I picked the Steelers, but he is actually supposed to be back next week. It's tough doing these podcasts so early. Luckily, we moved it a day ahead. You wouldn't know that, but you do know that our podcasts come out so late now, Nick.
Jesus crystals.
I'm joking. Nick's the best producer in the NFL.
Best producer we've ever had, really.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, there's no better producer
that we've had.
Yeah, no.
But, yeah, they struggled in the rushing game. Jalen Samuels wasn't really able to get anything done. Benny Snell and who the heck is that? Kareth Whiteith?
What?
Kareth
Whiteith
Jr. White. Oh, no, White. Never mind. All right, we're going to get past that. That game was... There was a lot of good games. I love when it gets close to the end of the season. I know that they start doing the Saturday games to limit the Sunday games, but I love it in the situation right now. I love the Saturday games, too, because it gives you something when there isn't necessarily... Because it's bowl season already. There won't be any college football. But I love it when we have such a packed slate of Sunday games. This is a great Sunday, if you ask me. It really helped coming back from the weekend.
Oh, yes.
But the next game was Sunday Night Football. I listened back to last week's podcast. The Seahawks will take care of this one with ease. As Dylan agrees with me, definitely did not do that. It was so... I was in shock. The Seahawks just couldn't get anything done. They had so many opportunities. Their offense was so bad. So bad. I was so surprised. Russell Wilson wasn't able to command drives. Their only touchdown was a Quandre Diggs pick six. Quandre Diggs had 2 interceptions in this one, which was good. The pretty much only bright spot for the the Seahawks team. But the Rams are looking like the Rams of last year with the Goff-Gurley combination. It's looking very good, and it's looking much better as they are still in the playoff hunt as of now.
Yes, in a game that made all 49ers fans Sunday complete with a win for the Niners.
Let's go!
And a loss for the Seahawks, which gave us first in the division. The Rams defended the Coliseum.
And in the NFC.
Yes. The Rams defended the Coliseum and defeated a division rival. As Mateo said, Russell was really off this game. I believe he didn't have an amazing game last game either. He started really hot, and I thought he was going to run away with the MVP race. Not only has Lamar Jackson stepped up, but the play of Russell Wilson has come down to earth a little bit. But Goff was spotty, 295 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions. There's still some hope for this Rams team. Seems like Gurley's finding a stride a little bit more, but we'll see. We'll see what they can do as the season goes on.
Yeah, they're really counting on the Vikings to lose a lot, and I don't know. They're trying to get in. It's pretty much like the Seahawks are a lock for that wild card, so they're really just rooting against the Vikings or the Packers, but they could still get in. It's possible, but they just need Kirk Cousins not to play very well. Basically, that's it for that game. Do you have anything to add, Dylan?
No, but I would like to say from the bottom of my heart, speaking for all Niners fans, thank you, Rams. Thank you.
Thank you, Rams. I have some big Rams friends that are Rams fans, not fans on the team, but I mean friends on the team.
We have connection.
Thank you, Rams. Thank you. You made it difficult the last couple years, dominating, but thank you for this one. The Monday night game, Giants versus Eagles. Eli Manning came out firing. At the first half, it looked like Eli Manning was going to have his go away. I don't know if he's going to retire after this season, but walk into the sunset. Final victory. He might have even stayed in as a starter. He actually might even be the starter next week. It's not 100% sure if Daniel Jones is back. He came out firing, and then second half they weren't able to produce at all.
Crystals.
They switched. They had a little bear. When you're in first grade and you had a bear that you threw around when you talked. It's they had the bear, and the bear was represented offense, and the Giants had in the first half, and then walking out of the halftime locker rooms, Eli Manning chucked it over to Carson Wentz, and then the Wentz wagon had
great analogy.
The bear.
I love it.
Great, thank you.
The bear you can do.
In the second half, one big guy for them was Boston Scott. The Miles Sanders wasn't able to have a huge game. Jordan Howard's out, and Boston Scott really stepped up. He received for 69 yards. He ran for 59 yards. Really liked ending with nines. I know, the joke.
Nice.
He ran for a touchdown too, but the Eagles in overtime just dominated, did not let the Giants have the ball, and they threw a key touchdown to Zach Ertz, who is having an off year but caught 2 touchdowns in this one.
Yeah, Mateo was a little caught up on his analogy to really explain the fact that the Giants sucked in the second half. They didn't score at all. They handed the bear. I guess we're using that now. They handed the bear to the Eagles, and Saquon did nothing the whole game. I don't know what it is, but he did nothing. But who was great in this game?
Darius Slayton.
Who was amazing. He had an amazing first half. Darius Slayton, oh my goodness. Not only did he have a nice connection forming with Daniel Jones, but as Eli Manning stepped in, it seemed that just continued on. Wentz played quite well, which is not very hard to do against this horrible Giants defense. 325 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. But Doug Peterson must have had a heck of a halftime speech because they really came out firing. And I want to talk about Daniel Jones, although he did not play in this game. He wanted to play, and he played with the same high ankle sprain injury at Duke in college last season. And I don't know if they were trying to give Eli Manning a farewell, a nice send-off against the Eagles team who has a horrible passing defense. But if that's the case, this really hurts. This probably hurts the confidence of Daniel Jones, knowing that it was possible he could play. I don't know if they're really trying to be careful because there's not much for their season, but I don't know exactly what the decision was to start Eli Manning here.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley has certainly been off this year. He had an unbelievable season last year. It's another Baker Mayfield case, but I think Saquon Barkley, I have a lot more confidence in him. He's still going to be an elite running back, and I think Daniel Jones is going to be I believe that he's going to be the Giants' quarterback for years to come, so I'm hopeful that he has a good, nice line career. But yeah, that second half offense. I told some people that Darius Slayton wasn't a fancy start, because I thought he had a great connection with Danny Dimes, and I didn't think he was going to have as good a connection with Eli's poo face, but he did. Yeah.
You're really into the elementary school stuff. The bear.
Eli Manning threw 157 yards to Darius, only 50 yards to anyone else. So this was a big game for them. But the Eagles stay in the division, have a chance to pull away from this horrid division and win this one. That is it for the games. I do have one thing to say before we get into the picks is I'm going to go off all the clinching situations for next week. Next week, the clinching situations is Baltimore clinches the AFC North with a win. Baltimore clinches a bye with a win and New England or KC loss. Buffalo clinches a playoff berth with a win. New England clinches a playoff berth with a win. Green Bay clinches a playoff berth with a win and a Rams loss. 49ers clinch a playoff berth with a win, a Rams loss, or a Green Bay and Minnesota loss. The Seahawks clinch a playoff berth with a win and a Rams loss, or a Minnesota loss. Going into the picks, Week 15, Thursday Night Football, Jets versus Ravens. The Ravens will 100% win this game. Lamar Jackson is technically questionable, but they said he's pretty much definitely going to play. And I think even with their backup, who I think is it's Robert Griffin III. Yeah, they're going to beat the Jets no matter what. Ravens outright ready to roll. We just lost 15 subscribers. Ready to roll. Ready to roll.
Because they went deaf.
Yeah, there's no way that the Jets win this game. I said that about the Seahawks-Rams game. That's completely different. The Jets are going to get ran by the Ravens.
Get it? Ravens. All right, next game is Bears-Packers. Packers win in Lambeau. Failed Mitchell Trubisky's good run is stopped in. Aaron Rodgers throws for at least 250 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I feel like this is a potential game that could continue the momentum that Mitch Trubisky began in Thursday night against the Cowboys, but is at Lambeau. It is one of the biggest rivalries in the NFL, and I think Aaron Rodgers is really going to step up and have an amazing game.
Patriots-Bengals. Patriots already have the whole Bengals playbook in their back pockets. Not that matters. No. It doesn't matter. They're literally going to beat them anyways, and they're going to clinch a playoff berth with a win.
I can't wait till the Bengals lose by 100, and then the meme pages on Instagram are like, oh my god, Patriots cheated. Patriots are winning easily in this game.
No matter what, even if they had Julian Edelman starting at quarterback the whole game, who was a college quarterback. Yeah. Seahawks versus Panthers. Seahawks bounce back. Panthers continue to fluster, and the Seahawks win this one.
Yeah, I suspect that Christian McCaffrey will be the only one on this Panthers team to have a good performance. I am taking the Seahawks.
Texans versus Titans. This is a hard one for me. I think the winner is in the lead of this division, so it's going to be a real big game, but I think Deshaun Watson will bounce back and have a big win.
After seeing the way Deshaun Watson performed against the Broncos at home, how are you going to tell me that Deshaun and this Texans team is going to go into Tennessee and steal a game from this red-hot Titans team? I'm taking the Titans against the Texans.
I'm going to be honest. I pretty much think that the Titans are going to win it. I'm just picking the Texans because I do not want Ryan Tannehill to be the successor and the better. I just want the Texans to win. I don't know why. All right, next game. Dolphins versus Giants. Danny Dimes comes back, throws some dimes. Darius Slayton, Saquon Barkley comes back, runs for 3,000 yards, and the Giants win this one.
This will probably be a close game. I suspect that the Dolphins, I'm taking the over on 11 field goals total. Hopefully that will win me quite a bit of money, but I'm assuming that Daniel Jones comes back and he plays well against the Dolphins.
Eagles versus Redskins. Eagles need this win, and the Eagles will win, although I think it will be a close game.
I guess you could say close game. I was thinking more boring game, but I'm taking the Eagles over the Redskins.
Broncos versus Chiefs. I think Drew Lock will still play good, but the Chiefs will win this one. I'm a Drew Lock believer. If you haven't told, what's the past 10 of? Oh, you can't tell. Sorry. Right.
Gosh, this isn't Spanish. It's English. But anyways,
good one.
This might be a surprise game of this Sunday slate because I think this is going to be quite the shootout. I think Drew Lock's going to play very well. But I think Patrick Mahomes is going to play amazing, and the Chiefs are going to beat the Broncos.
Buccaneers versus Lions. I feel like this could be the game that the Buccaneers, after winning like 3 straight weeks, end up losing to the blow-it man, but I still feel I'm picking the Buccaneers. That's what they're called.
Yeah, David Blau blows, and I'm taking the Bucs.
Browns versus Cardinals. I'm so torn on this one. Kyler Murray played good, and now he plays bad. Oh, Nick, the San Jose Sharks just fired their head coach, by the way.
Whoa, breaking news!
And I think the Browns will win this one.
I'm also torn on this one. I think this is also going to be a horrible game, but the Cardinals' defense, I feel, is worse than the Browns' defense. I'm taking the Browns for that.
Jags Raiders. I'm so torn. I think this is the last game at the Oakland Coliseum, so I'm just going to pick the Raiders, and Josh Jacobs has a big game.
Josh Jacobs is back, yeah?
I think probably. I'm assuming so. Because he's questionable until game time. It's not like that's going to make him out 2 weeks.
I'm taking the Jags.
Next is Vikings versus Chargers. Vikings win this one, as if they lose, it'll be very hurtful, so they're going to really want to win it.
Yeah, this might be a surprise game where the Chargers could steal one at home. Not that makes much of a difference for the Chargers because they have no fans in LA. I almost said San Diego. That's how little their home field advantage makes. But I'm going to take the
first thing that comes to your mind. What player?
The Vikings.
Good choice. Next is Rams and Cowboys, and this is another one I'm completely torn on. I feel like the Cowboys might come back and win as a home game, but gonna pick the Rams. They just lost lost the Bears. Come on. I'm picking the Rams.
At home in Jerry World. Call me Skip Bayless. Big bounce back game for the Cowboys beating the Rams.
Falcons 49ers in Levi Stadium. 49ers win this one easily.
I'm almost concerned at the fact that the Niners haven't been at home for a while, so we might, I don't know, it's some weird football mumbo-jumbo stuff, some superficial things, but I think the Niners are for surely going to win this game.
Bills versus Steelers. Bills win to clinch a playoff spot on Sunday Night Football. I don't think it could be a good game. I think the Bills are going to win now.
I think this is going to be like an extreme of what we saw against the Ravens and the Bills. There's going to be no offense, really. I think the Bills are going to win, though.
Culture Saints. Saints bounce back, even though it's not like a bounce back because it's not like they got destroyed, but the Saints will win this one.
Yeah, the Saints, although the Niners played better, of course, because we won that game, but the Saints played amazing, and I think they're going to continue that and beat Jacoby Brissett and the Colts.
All right, and that is it for picks. And Nick, I want to hear your first reaction after this Sharks head coach loss, as you were the hockey aficionado.
Aficionado.
First, what do you think? What do you think about this head coach firing?
Well, 2 words. It's about time.
That's not 3.
Don't worry about that.
3 words.
No, so you think it's a good move?
I think it's a good move. Personally, I think the Sharks have been on the downfall for the last couple seasons. They had a pretty good season a couple years ago, made it to the Western Conference Finals and they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals and played against the Pittsburgh Penguins. They just fired him, his head coach Peter DeBoer. Another down week. They just lost last night to the Predators. So, a lot of people would say it's about time. The Dallas Stars coach Jim Montgomery also just got fired, I would like to say yesterday or today actually, for unprofessional conduct, end quote. Apparently, it does not have to do with his radio appearance earlier this month. On December 5th, Montgomery joined 96.7 FM, where he was asked questions about his player's private life. Dallas center Tyler Seguin said, "No, quote, no one expected this," end quote. As of now, their interim head coach is longtime assistant Rick Bowness, and won his first game on Tuesday night against the New Jersey Devils, which, I think a Pee Wee team can beat the New Jersey Devils, so that's not a lot. Even more news, big news, kind of sad news. NHL calls off the potential Hockey World Cup of 2021. NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman says there's not enough time to get it done, according to Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman.
All right, I'll say one thing. As you guys can all tell, I'm not a hockey expert at all. But I will say is, watching from afar, I have a few notifications on my phone about the hockey world. Seems like half their coaches have been fired this season. It's crazy. Is this like this every season?
No, I think there's this season the skill gap has just been expanded. There's a lot of really good teams. There's a lot of trash teams. So I feel like a lot of things are changing in the NHL world, and the teams are firing their head coaches to just keep up with the modern times.
And that is it for Fourth and Short Weekly Assist. My name is Mateo.
I'm Dylan Freeman. I love you all.
I'm Nick Kennealy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still here, it'd be kind of difficult for you guys to still be here after Dylan screaming. But subscribe. We're at 35 subscribers, counting up by the minute. Thank you guys so much. We love our fans. Thank you for sending us tons of money. And see you guys next
Our
week.
Patreon is